Hello everyone, I'm going to make a form, but in this case it's not a simple form. This is a complex form because it has many fields, many conditional logics. We can see the conditional logic graph here. So many conditional logic, and the calculation code is really big. You can see here it's really big, and this is the most complex form that I ever made so far. So it's good to know that zigaform can make this kind of complex form. And now I will teach you how I made this, how I build all of this form. And okay, let's start it. So first, the user wanted a form with these details. So first, this is a instant quote form. So basically, the user wanted first is the company details, the name of the company, telephone, and email address. So looking into the form, we just that was the first step. So we use the wizard. So we make 4 steps. So in the first step, we added all the company details. So that's why you can see here is step 1, company details. Then I added the contact name. Yes, the contact name, the company name. You can see here the company name, the telephone, and the email address. So that is it in the first step 1. Then we have the wizard button. So it allows you to navigate through the steps of the wizard form. Okay, so then according to the layout, so it follows this question with 2 options. Is there already a pay scheme? So yes, no. If yes, this message appears. If no, it will ask another question with 2 options, yes, no. So, and looking into the form, so we go to the step 2. So in the step 2 is payee details. So you can see here the question: is there already a payee scheme? Yes, no. So you can see here, is there already a payee scheme? And yes, no. You can see there it is. So is there already a payee scheme? Yes, no. In the case if yes, God, so this message, this text will appear. God, we will need details for setup. Good, no? Good, we will need details for setup. If no, would you like us to set one up? Look at this. So if it's yes, so this message appear. Good, we will need details for setup. So if yes, good, we will need details for setup. If no, this question will appear. So will like us to set one up? If no, this question will appear So this is basically, we will use here the conditional logic. You can see, so we're going to see the conditional logic. This conditional logic, you can see the page scheme. This, if it's no, so it will appear. So that's why. Also this just no options. It's according to this. If to no option of this field. So we can see the same. Okay, so it asks a new question with yes no option. So you can see if yes, so okay, we will contact you for the necessary details. If yes, if no, just close window. In this case, just next to the, go to the next step. In this case, if yes, okay, we will contact you for the necessary details. If no, just show this field. If yes, if this option is checked, so this field will show, okay, we will contact you for the necessary details. If no option is checked, so this another will show. So I think it's understandable. So this part is basically conditional logic, just conditional logic. Oh yes, here for example, here is just HTML, or let me see, what field is this? Oh, okay, this is a heading. Yes, you can see here a heading. And this other field is a radio button. Yes, this is a radio button. You can see here the options, value, and those here are, for example, here this is, I think, an HTML field. Okay, this is let me check. In this case, let me check. Okay, this is a hidden too, but this is a hidden number 2, which is here, hidden 2. So you can use this, or you can use HTML field. So you can use both, any of those. So it's the same. And also, but the advantage of using heading is that you can have more options to customize, like bold, underline, color, things like that. So with custom HTML, basically you can add any HTML content, but you don't have these options, but it's fine. Okay, now you can see, according to this the layout, we have done this. Now this part in the step 2. Now next it comes this. Is there already a pension scheme? So 2 options, 2. Yes, no. If yes, okay, please select this list. So a list will appear. If no, we would like to set up. So if no, so another list will appear. So look at this, two select lists. these two combo lists, and so all of these are in the step 3. So let's check. So go to step 3, pension details. Is there already a pension scheme? You can see here, no, is there a pension scheme? If yes, no. So yes, no. Here the yes, no. Okay, if it's yes, okay, please select from this list, and you can see People Pension, Nest, Aviva, Aegon. So if yes, okay, please select your pension provider from this list. So you can see there are another radio buttons with options. So all of these will appear, will be shown if yes option is checked. In the case no option is checked, this part front button so will appear. So we would like us to set up one app. So if yes, so you have to select these options, these radio buttons. If it's no, this message will appear. No problem. Click next below to continue. So basically you can see 2 radio buttons. Okay, here more radio buttons, and here another list of radio buttons, and all of these are according to this main question, which is there already a pension scheme? And that's it for the step 3. Looking into the layout, you can see we have done all of this. Now in the next, so it asks for employee levels. So please enter expected employees: weekly, fortnightly, 4-weekly, monthly, annually. Okay, let's go to step 4. So here it is. So employee, the form will ask for customer to fill or to choose one employee level. So weekly, fortnightly, and you can see here weekly, fortnightly, monthly, annually. You can see these fields are spinners, so because there are numerics, that's why I added that field. And the next is, you can see additional services. So this is just only showing information. You can see here the information, so we can edit this. So okay, so these are hidden 2 or hidden 3. Then finally we have this question: please call me. So this it's a checkbox. Yes, here, please call me. And this is a checkbox, just one checkbox, please call me. So the customer can choose this or not. And that's it. You can see that's it. Then finally the submit button, and that's it. That's all the layout, layout of the form. You can see here is the submit button. Okay, and you can see here, in this case, I guess all the message will be, all the message for client and admin will be generated in a dynamic way. So that's why I added this yellow box and green box, just to show how the message will be. For the yellow box, you will see the message, the mail message for the customer, and the green box will have the message, the mail message for the admin. So how I did that? I just used an HTML field. This is the HTML field, and I added here an ID. This ID it's called this prueba cliente, and for the green box, here goes the admin message. You can see I added another ID, which is this, and this is important because the code, the calculation code, will send the information to this contents according to the ID. So I will explain later. Okay, that's all for the layout of the form. So we have the company details here, some question with options, list of options, ready buttons, and finally here some spinners and showing some information, and finally the submit button. And okay, now that's the layout. Now we have to make the calculation code. And maybe you will ask how I made this code. So the customer sent me he had a PHP code. So he had a previous form in PHP code, so that but he wanted to migrate to a new estimation form, and I want to show you. This is the HTML, the PHP code that the customer had. You can see this is his PHP code. You can see the PHP code it's starting, so you can see the variables are being defined here. So you can see all of them are posts. So when you make a form, all of these posts are information of the form. So that's why. So here capture the variables of the form in this, and then it needs to process. Okay, and next you can see here, this is important because this is some kind of validation. So it asks the customer select just one. This is called employee level, right? So the form has to validate this, so has to ask the customer to select just one at least, weekly or fortnightly, just one. So this is the validation. So that's what we see here. And if it doesn't pass, so this message appear. So please enter the number of employees. So this is important. So the form has to validate this. And then are just some code, some conditionals. So in the calculation, in the code. So you can see it's comparing, assigning values on some variables, and you can see it's all of this. This is the PHP code of the customer that he wants to migrate, and you can see all of this is here. So all the calculations are here. So the calculation is going and going, and finally, in his code, you can see the mail message for example, for customer is made. You can see here, this is the mail message for the customer, and another side you can see the mail message for the admin, and you can see here, and finally it mail to the destination, and finally it shows a successful message after sending the form. And that's it. That's his code, his PHP code. So this is PHP, and in the case of the form in the calculation code support JavaScript. So that I did was to pass this code, this PHP code, to JavaScript code, and that's what I did. And you can see, for example, the syntax is really similar. But you can see here, for example, here the definition of the variables, and you can see here the variables is the same. Okay, and here there is a validation. In this case, the validation is not here. The validation, I had to make a custom validation, and for that reason, and I added on the additional JavaScript, I built this is just a customization. This is just a custom code for validating that, because this validation is not doesn't come by default. So what I did was to capture all the spinners. You can see the spinners here. For example, I need to get the ID of the field of the spinner. So I'm going to, for example, in order to get the ID of this field, I just go to this more tab, and here it is. This is the ID selector. And just copy this, and you can see here, and this is the code. I capture the field, the object on this variable, and that's what I do. Then I capture the value of the spinner. Then I made a comparison. So if all of them are 0, so the validation will be fired. Okay. In the case of not, so there will not be a validation. And so all of these are in just one function, and that function I added that on all events of the spinner. So every time an spinner is changed, so this function will trigger, and it will check every time, it validate every time when you change some value of the spinner. And okay, for this I use this event, which is an additional validation. I use this event. This event allow you to add any validation to your form. So that's why I used this validation. So with this event on the form, you can add any validation that you want. So you can build and you can add your own validation, your custom validation. And that's what I did. And it returns a callback. If the callback has some option there is with false value, for example, if I send this callback is valid false, so the validation will not pass. So it's important to return back this callback function. Okay, how to get these events? These are described on the documentation. So I'm gonna show you. This is on the documentation, so you can see more reference here on this page. Okay. You can find the documentation of these events on the documentation of the software. So you just go to events and you can see all the events that you can use. So there is a event when the form is loaded. So you can add any code once the form is loaded. Then you can add some code when there's an event before submit. So before submit you can add any other code, and here explain how you can do that. Also here is that I used, but in this case I used the that I used was the additional validation form, but for wizard. So I use this similar, but this event is for the form without wizard form. So it's used for the regular forms. For wizard form we can use this one, no? This event. So with button additional validation. And there are other events here. So after submit you can add other code. So that's the information. So in this case I use this event. So once the validation is running, so this is an additional validation, and you can see the validation runs here. The function that I created is running here. So all of this, so get all the values of the spinner, then compare, and according to that, just show the pop-up validation. Okay. Once the validation is fine, for example, here it compares if all the values are 0, so the validation return false, and we just need to return this callback function with this parameter is valid false. In the case all is fine, so we just need to return this callback, but with a parameter with true. And that's it. That was all. I added all of this code for the validation. Here are other functions, but these are for the calculation code itself, so I will explain. Okay, now return back to the calculation. Okay, so this code, this validation is made on here. Okay, on here I explained that, and now so we will continue, and we will continue. So you can see here it's this conditional call me, please call me. So if it's it compares with some string, then some text is stored in this variable, and here it is. You can see here, so it's the same. You can see it's almost the same syntax, almost the same. For example, in PHP we can use this or, but in JavaScript this or is like this. Then many conditionals are made, so you can see many conditionals with variables, conditionals, variables, dynamic variables, operations. You can see the operation. You can see here all the conditionals, more conditionals, and you can see here the operations, math operations. Okay, you can see is the same. So this with this, you can see is almost the same. In PHP we don't need to define a variable, so in JavaScript we need to define a variable, so we need to put this bar, then the variable. And in the code, so here more operations. For example, here there's a function number format. You can see here number format, but this function I had to create, and I added on here. You can see here this function is number format, so I had to create that function in order to make similar like the PHP code. And okay, let's go. Okay, number format. Okay, number format. Here another here another conditional. So here the same. So you can see we just moved from this PHP to here this calculation code, which is JavaScript itself, JavaScript code. And you can see more conditionals. Here it is. For example, you can see this function. So I had to create the same as number format, empty. This function, let me just check, empty. This function empty, I had to create that function, and I added here. Here you can see the function empty. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Okay, let's continue. Oh, okay, finally here the mail message for customer is made, and you can see here also the customer message is built here, so it's the same, only the syntax is different, but it stores the same information. Okay, here also in the admin for admin message, so all of this information is stored here. The same, all of this message is stored on this variable, and these variables are stored in the do you remember I added a green box and an yellow box? So in this case, the customer variable, the customer message is stored on the, or is shown on the yellow box. So do you remember this ID? So I created this ID just for showing the message. For example, you can see this message here, and we will see here. So we will edit the yellow message, which is for the customer. Let's check. You can see here there's an ID inside, and this ID is the same as here. Yes, it's the same. Okay, and the same way I do for admin message. So that's why you will see the messages, the mail messages, just for reference, so we can remove later. But it's just for make sure all the content is right, and we can see in that moment. So we don't need to check every time on the mail message. And this is important. Okay, I didn't say this. I added these two hidden fields, hidden inputs. This is the field, hidden inputs. One hidden input for message client. You see, this is for message client. And once I created this hidden field, I grab the this ID selector, the ID, and at the end I grab the hidden field. Then I store the message on the input, on the text area. So I do that. This is for the customer, and I do the same for the admin. Once I had that, once I had the messages stored on each hidden field, now I go to the email settings tab, and you can see here is the mail message for admin. This is, you can use any of these checkboxes, but my message, this mail message is made dynamically. So that's why all of that I store it on a hidden field. So that hidden field is called, let me check. We're gonna check. Oh, okay. This is for client. Okay, for admin. So we're gonna check the hidden field for admin. Okay, this is the name, message admin. Okay, and we will go here, message admin. We will just copy this shortcut because this is the input, this is the stored value here, and here it is. And then once you receive a mail, the admin mail will have the information of this hidden field, which is message admin. And the same works for the customer. So we have some text here, but this is the important thing. So the message client, so you just copy the shortcut and I added here. So all the message for customer will be shown here. So that's why it's important to use this these hidden fields, because all the mail messages are generated in a calculation code. So you can see many variables, and according to that are generated the mail messages. So as same as his PHP code. And that's it. I have described all the how I made this form. Okay, so then we're going to check. But remember, there's a thing here when you make these codes, because this is really big code, and you have to make sure all this JavaScript code has to be valid, because if there is some error, so the calculation code will not work. So in the case of complex large codes, so I recommend you to validate your code in a there is a page called, let me remember. Okay, that page is called GS Hint. So this tool is really good, so you can validate your code. So I will do that. So we're going to copy, and you can see how it validates. Look. Okay. You can see this is well validated. And these undefined variables, don't take it as an error. It's fine. It detects its undefined variable, but these variables those are references. These are references, and so if it says it's undefined variable, it's fine, because all of these represent a field. The value of the field, it depends, so don't worry about that. And it says number format is not defined. It's because we have defined that function on another place, which is here. So two functions, number format and empty. And you can see empty is here, and jQuery, you know, it's that library is used on the WordPress site, so or in the software uses this, so you don't have to worry. And that's it. For example, I'm gonna make an error on purpose. You can see how the errors is shown, but you know, it's just this. So look at this. Yeah, you have this undefined. It's fine, don't worry about this. So all variables that begin with FLD, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about if it says it's undefined, so don't worry. And all of these are defined, so basically, and all the code, it's fine. If you don't see any other error, so that means the code is fine. Okay, and that's what I did. I validated the calculation code, so the JavaScript code, I validated that, and finally I save the form. Then we're going to test the form. Here is the form, and okay, so we're gonna test. First steps, we're gonna put customer John, company, any company. Telephone, we're going to put any telephone, so we're gonna put any email. Look at this, all of this text box has validation. So if I go to next, so it asks for require valid email, so I put that, so then I can go to the next step. And do you remember this question? It was here. So here, is there already a pay? If yes, no, two options. If yes, show this. If no, show this. Another question. Oh, look at this. If yes, all is fine. If no, show another question. If no, show some text. If yes, show another text. So it's doing what it's it's doing according to this, right? Then in the third step, go. So you can see pension detail. Is there already a pension scheme? The same. Is there already a pension scheme? So two options, yes, no. If yes, select from this combo. If no, another question and select this combo. Okay, you can see. If no, so we like to set up yes, and you can see here. So you can other pension provider. If it's yes, so you can see here other. So in this case, okay, go to the next step. Okay, here by default all the employee levels are 0. So do you remember there was a validation? So you can see all of that code. You can see all of this code. All of this code made that validation. This validation. Look at this. If some spinner is not chosen, so you can see when I press the submit button, look at that. The validation appears and asks that you have to choose at least one option. And look at this. When I select one, the validation disappears, and then I can send the information. If I put 0, look at that, the validation appears again. So that code make that. Okay. So in this case, I'm gonna put weekly, and yes, here the yellow box and green box. The yellow box, do you remember? The yellow box is for the customer. You can see all the details, values are generated here, or this information will be sent to the customer. The mail message will be this. So I just added here just for reference, so just in order to see what message will appear and correct if some information is not showing fine. And the mail message for the admin is here. So you can see all the contact details. Do you remember? Name, customer John, company, any company, telephone, email provider, so requested. So all the information here, all this information will be sent to the admin mail. And that's it. Then I just press the submit button, and you can see now it's loading, and here it is. This is the success message. So I didn't show that, but here it is, the success message. You go to on submission. Here it is. This is the success message. Okay, and you can see here, this is the mail for this is the mail for the admin, and you can see the information is arriving fine. This is for the admin, and this is for the customer. You can see, hi customer John, thank you, blah blah blah, based on blah blah blah. All of information is here. Okay, and you can see all of this form is working fine, and you can see now all kind of complex form can be made with this software. And that's it. Thank you for listening to me.